Today on the newscast, we're joined by the former U.S. Ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, who breaks down the truth about the Temple Mount, Israel's biblical heartland of Judea and Samaria, and the Iran nuclear deal. That's next. Hey folks, Eric Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. We want to get right into it today with our good friend, Ambassador David Friedman. Now, Ambassador Friedman is the former top U.S. diplomat to Israel, and he sat down with us recently in Jerusalem to discuss three hot-button issues that we discuss frequently here on the Watchman Newscast. Number one, the status of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem and the Jewish people's historical claim to that site. Number two, the biblical heartland of Judea and Samaria. And number three, the status of the Iran nuclear deal. Is it dead? Is the Biden administration still pining to keep it alive? Ambassador Friedman broke down all of these issues with me in Jerusalem recently. Take a look. It seems, thankfully, that the Iran nuclear deal is dead right now, but is there a chance as we go forward that that thing could be revived, perhaps? Do you get the sense that the Biden administration has let that go, or are they still pining, perhaps, for a deal?
Well, they're pining, but I just don't think you can get there from here. And I think one of the reasons is the war between Russia and Ukraine, because that's now creating alliances between Russia and Iran that are, let's not kid ourselves, they're very dangerous. Even without the Iran deal, the world right now is a very dangerous place. And so I don't think we're going to see an Iran deal anytime soon, but I think we're going to see an ever-growing Iranian danger. And we're focusing as we should on Russia. We're focusing as we should on China. I hope, and I'm out of government, so I don't have the insights I used to. I hope that the focus continues on Iran. And I've said this before. The only real deterrence that we can impose upon Iran is to make sure that Israel has the capabilities to act against Iran. Because I don't think anybody really thinks America is going to act militarily against Iran, but I think people do believe that Israel does. To avoid military conflict, you need deterrence. You need the threat of that conflict, and I think Israel is the only country that presents a capable threat of deterrence, and we should make sure that Israel can assert that deterrent effect as strongly as possible.
Yeah. I want to move on to The Road of the Patriarchs, your great movie that's coming soon, you and Secretary Pompeo. Before I do, quick question. During your time obviously serving here in Jerusalem, and you still live here a good chunk of the time, the Temple Mount and the status of Jerusalem, always a hot topic, obviously. What's your sense in the city right now? Do you get a sense that Jerusalem is more tense? There's been talk among allegations among Palestinians that Israel wants to change the status quo on the Temple Mount. There's been a bit of a terror wave recently with some deadly terror attacks here.
Look, the Temple Mount has been a pretext for Arab violence since 1929. The Hebron massacre killed tens of thousands of Jews in 1929 was based upon a false accusation that the Jews were taking over the Temple Mount. So there's nothing new. And it's been out there for a very long time. Look, I would invite everybody to study the peace treaty between Jordan and Israel, because that treaty says that the two countries, remember, the Temple Mount was in Jordan's custody until 1967, then now it's under Israeli sovereignty. But the parties agreed in 1994 in their treaty that they would provide all worshipers of all Abrahamic faiths full and complete access to all holy sites. Now, Israel has kept that end of the bargain. The Jordanians, by continuing to argue that the Temple Mount is only accessible to Muslim worshipers, is not. So, the status quo is it's two words in Latin that mean very different things to very different people. But I'll tell you that on any day, on 362 days out of the year, it's peaceful. And I don't think the rules are particularly fair, because the Muslims have the right to unfettered right of prayer. Jews don't and Christians don't. And I don't know why any holy site, I don't care where it is, I don't care who's got sovereignty over it, any holy site shouldn't be accessible to all worshipers of all faiths.
And Jews did pray there 3,000 years ago, but...
and 2,000 years ago, and, at many, many other times. And look, that rock, it's here someplace, that, that gold dome, the Dome of the Rock. I mean, that is the place where the temple stood. It's the place where Abraham, almost sacrificed Isaac. An enormous amount of Jewish history and an enormous amount of divine history there. And why in the world wouldn't that be something that we ought to celebrate and make open and available to everyone?
Yeah. Speaking of Jewish history and divine history, the Road of the Patriarchs, also known as Highway 60, cutting through the Jewish state, north to south, going through Judea and Samaria, the biblical heartland. Yep. You have a very exciting project in the works with former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Tell us about it. You were filming here recently.
Sure.
This is good stuff.
Sure. Well, in America they got Route 66, right? In Israel we got Route 60, right? Route 60, the name of the film is Route 60, the Biblical Highway. It runs from the route itself. The road runs from Nazareth at the north. It runs through the city of Shechem, to where Joshua built his altar, where Abraham came to the Promised Land, where Joseph's bones were reinterred from Egypt. Goes down to Shiloh, where Samuel was born, where Hannah taught the world how to pray, where the Jews stopped wandering on their trip from Egypt back into the Promised Land. The Jews lived there. The tabernacle was there for almost 400 years. Down to Bethel, right, where Jacob had the dream of the ladder going up and down, the angels going up and down. Of course, then to Jerusalem, and then to Bethlehem, which is the birthplace of Jesus, the birthplace of King David. To Hebron, which is the tomb of the patriarchs: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah. Rachel, of course, is buried on the side of the road. We went there too, to Rachel's tomb on the side of the road, all the way down to Beersheba, which, as I like to say, was the place of the first Abraham Accord, the biblical Abraham Accord between Abraham and Avimelech. So this is the heartland of the Bible. This is the Jewish heartland. This is the Christian heartland. This is where the Bible takes place, all along this road. And we thought, in the context of the road itself, we would have sort of a travelogue from top to bottom, go from place to place and talk about what happened there thousands of years ago, what it looks like today, and how it inspires us in what we do. Mike was incredibly helpful, and I think he gave us insights into his worldview that you won't see anywhere else.
Yeah.
We talk about the Bible, we talk about politics. We go back to Washington, and we talk about how our jobs, Mike's job was far more consequential than mine, but Mike as Secretary of State and I as Ambassador to Israel, how the inspiration of those biblical sites helped to animate our roles in our respective jobs in the Trump administration. It's going to be, I think, an incredible movie. The scenery is absolutely breathtaking. Yeah. This is a beautiful country. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping, I think it's going to get released in September. It's going to be a movie. It's going to be a feature film. It's going to be aired, I think, throughout the United States. And it's going to show people really, where the Bible began. The places where all the Bible stories that we know, where they began. Look, you go through America, how many towns are named Bethlehem? How many towns are named Shiloh?
Yes.
How many towns are named Bethel? I mean, it's all from this road, Route 60, the biblical heartland, and we're going to get a chance to really look at it in some depth.
Thanks again to Ambassador David Friedman for those great insights. Folks, if you like that interview and you want to see more like it, be sure to tune in to the Watchman TV show every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time and Fridays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on TBN. We're on the ground in Israel and points beyond throughout the Middle East, bringing you the inside story of what's really happening in the world's most chaotic and strategic region, and why it matters to you no matter where you live. Hey, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Watchman Newscast. Until tomorrow, God bless you, and remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.